Begin with a request to all of you kindly close your eyes for a while. Now imagine you are in the year 1975 and you have seen one building has been constructed in the middle of the city. That building is having beams, columns, slabs, foundation, and so it is covered by red bricks having big windows for natural ventilation, and the building is smelling like an old mortar building. Now, you can open your eyes, come 50 years ahead, and the owner of the building want to make modern aspects to that. The whole red bricks have been stripped out and shiny glass walls have been installed. A new air conditioner system has been installed. All the old tiles have been removed. Good Italian marble have been put in. Now, people who were going just besides that building may think that this is completely a new building, a modern one having all the amenities. However, if I ask you whether this is a new building, then you could relate it with that building having red bricks and big windows. However, I am a civil engineer. I look this building little bit in a more deeper sense. I do not get distracted with the glass or the bricks. I see the skeleton of the building. I can see it that the load which was bearing by this building in the year 1975 is the same load it is bearing in the year 2026. The physics, the geometry, or any logic was not changed even a bit of millimeter. The load is transferring from the slabs, from the beams to the columns, to the foundation, and directly to the soil. I'm giving you another scenario. Suppose you have put in a lot of money making a completely new modern building. However, you forgot to test the soil. After few years of construction of the building, you found that the soil is marshy. It has a property to expand after some years. And we have seen it that after few years of construction of such a good building, it develops cracks. Now, the owner, irrespective of the money put in for the retrofitting, renovation, the building will surely going to sink. It means for a building to be stable, to be serviceable, there are four things important related to it. First is the soil, the ground where the building is resting. Second, the foundation, which is actually bearing the whole load. Third, the skeleton, as well as the walls, which is giving the service to the people. And the fourth is the renovation, which you have done for that building when it was constructed in 1975 and you have done it in 2026. Now, based on these four parts, I want to narrate one story that is my story. I born in a typical middle class family in the state of Uttar Pradesh. My father was an Indian Railways employee. My mother was a housewife, and I had one elder brother. To begin with this story, or In other words, to make my own life's building, first and foremost, I need to test my soil. My soil should be hard enough to make a skyscraper. And those tests came up from my father. Irrespective of the work, hectic schedule, work meetings, pressure, and so, whenever he used to come in the home in the evening, he used to enjoy with me that time. He used to hug with me. He used to listen my silly questions. He used to smile on those questions and again and so on. However, what I have learned from him that irrespective of the hard work you do it, do not show it to others. So my soil test was done on two types of tests, that is hard work and humility. Now after fixing my soil, I need to make my foundation. To lay down my foundation, the first foundational value came up from my mother. She acted as like a site safety officer. She ran my home like a military camp. Rules were there, you have to obey. Whatever is served to you, you have to eat. It was like I fewer times I've felt like my mother is just strict. In my home, the alarm never rings at 7 a.m. However, I found my first foundational value, that is discipline. Now, with discipline or without discipline, the concrete can never set. It remains slurry. My second foundational value came up from my maternal uncle, an army officer. I used to see him very closely. I saw him taking so many quick decisions, and I never saw him paralyzed in front of a question, what if? He taught me my second foundational value, that do not waste your time in thinking whether the decision will be right or wrong. Rather, take a decision, put your all efforts, and make it right. The last third foundational value came up from my brother. He was my all weather support friend, whether it was in school or in family. He supported me like anything. In all my decisions, he had that faith that I'll be able to do something great. And that was faith. And from the faith, I found that if you have a confidence on few of your close ones, as well as in the system, you can bear any kind of load. Now my soil was ready with two tests, hard work and humility. And my foundation was also laid, firm foundation, with three parameters: discipline, decisiveness, and faith. Now I started making the skyscraper on that foundation. And this started when I joined my BTech. In the morning, 5 a.m., I used to wake up. At 6 a.m., I used to catch a train from Ghaziabad to Meerut. There was no other train afterwards. And then I usually reach at my BTech college by 8:30. My institute was very strict in a way that the gates, they being closed it in the morning and only opened in the evening at 5. After coming out from my college in the evening at 5 p.m., I used to run towards my station to catch the 5:30 p.m. train. And typically, most of the times, I missed it because the distance was 2 kilometers. I have to run. Then I used to stay at station till 7 p.m. to catch the next train. By 9:30, I usually reached my home completely exhausted, hungry, and with some bare minimum of energy, which let me sleep and wake me again next morning at 5 a.m. Now, this could be seen as a kind of a struggle, but I found that if you're not able to concentrate on your these journeys, if you're not able to enjoy your struggle, you can't build the skyscrapers. You have to see the cracks, you have to maintain and construct the first floor to reach to the upper ones, as well as the consistency of that rigorous work is important. So my skyscraper worked by two parameters: start loving your present, your future will automatically be pleasant, and second one is be consistent. Now my skyscraper was done. I was very happy. My whole building is shining like anything. But what next? Next is what you have seen it, renovation. For renovating a building, you have to disrupt that building. You have to strip out all the walls, and then only the glass wall can come up. In a similar way, you need to disrupt your life whenever you want to renovate it. When I was in a school, I fond in playing table tennis. I played as like a hobby, but because fortunately I got one coach, just he was my neighbor, I start playing it, and within 2 years, I won at district level, zonal level. I reached state as well as nationals. My name was everywhere in local newspapers. In the school, everyone knew me with my name. However, after playing 2 years, in the third year of my table tennis playing, I started feeling that I'm not growing in. Rather, my performance is depleting. Along with it, in my academics as well, which was my passion or is as well, my name was coming from the topper to the average and below average of the students. At that time, I took a harsh decision to just stop playing. Now, I had fame, name, sponsors were there, rewards were there, but I simply quit it and I come back to my academics. At that time, it was too difficult. I was sad. However, at my brother's faith came up to support me. And he said, don't worry, one day you will again start playing it. And it continued. So, my first disruption in my life to renovate my life was the stagnation. My second disruption came up when, after my master's, I joined a job, earning well, bought my first car, bought several amenities at home, traveled, lot of fun. However, again, one question came up in my mind: am I growing or am I adding some value in it in my life? As like if you abandon one building, it will remain in a comfortable zone because no live loads, nothing is there. But when you abandon a building, you actually see that building is decaying. The same thing happened with me when I found myself in a too comfortable zone. I tried to disrupt it. The second disruption was comfort. I again moved from that job and I joined IIT Delhi for my PhD. And I remember first night I was in a hostel. It was a cold night, lying on a cot, thin mattresses, lying, looking towards the ceiling, and I literally cried. I cried for an hour and asked question, why Sparsh? You were earning well, you were doing good, everything was there. Why you are here? Then my foundational value, my maternal uncle's voice came up. You already have taken a decision. Now you have to make it correct by anyhow, by putting efforts. And with that voice, I started rigorously working towards my research, published papers, books, journals, conferences, attended so many conferences in different countries, and I got my PhD. And soon after, in 2021, I, I joined IIT Guwahati. So, in a nutshell, I have tested my ground where I am standing, or where I was standing at that time, with hard work and humility as the tests. Then I laid my foundation based on discipline, decisiveness, and faith. And later on, I made the skyscraper based on two parameters: start loving your present and be consistent. However, we need to renovate our building, life's building. So, I have made two disruptions based on the stagnation and comfort. However, my first disruption was to quit from table tennis at that time. But let me tell you, after joining IIT Guwahati, I started playing table tennis again, and I am in IIT Guwahati's team representing IIT Guwahati and going to inter IITs, and we are winning. My second disruption was a job before my PhD. Obviously, I joined here, and it's not only a job, I am enjoying my life. So, I have changed cities from Ghaziabad to Guwahati. I have changed my title from Mr. to Doctor. I have changed my facade from studentship to assistant professor. However, my foundation and the soil were tested. Those remained same. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you can change every brick of your life, but keep the journey alive. Thank you.